morning, fellow Toastmasters, and a special welcome to our guests.
Good morning. Good morning.
How do you feel when you walk into a room full of strangers? Do you feel uncomfortable scanning the room for a familiar face? Do you sometimes feel uneasy, like I do sometimes, about striking up a conversation with a total stranger? Conversation is an important part of life. It's stimulating to talk to someone that we don't know. We learn new things, and we can also share ideas that we have with other people. Conversation also impacts our success in life. Do you know someone who can strike up a conversation with anybody? Within minutes, this person puts others at ease with their conversation. Anyone can learn this skill with practice. Today, I'm going to talk about 4 levels of communication and how you can have more successful conversations. Level 1 is small talk. And this is when we talk about things like the weather or our immediate surroundings or perhaps current events. And on the surface, small talk appears to be meaningless or superficial, but it does have a purpose. So after you've had dialogue for a minute or two with someone, you can assess whether you want to move the conversation forward, whether you have anything in common with that person. Level 2 is fact disclosure. And this is when you talk to someone about where you work, you share where you work or where you go to school, or perhaps what your hobby is. And at level 2, you really can determine whether you have something in common with that other person. You might both decide that you both like photography, or perhaps you both like to ski. Level 3 is viewpoints and opinions. And this is when you share perhaps your political opinions, or you might share feelings about a mutual acquaintance. And then level 4 is personal feelings. And this is when you disclose feelings of a personal nature that are more personal than at level 3. Perhaps you might share with someone a problem you're having with one of your children and the concerns that you have for that child's future. All successful conversations begin at level 1. They progress through level 2, level 3, and then you reach level 4. But not usually at the first meeting. Actually, it can cause a disturbance or be awkward if you suddenly, when you're talking with someone for the very first time, you find yourself in a level 4 conversation. Reaching level 4 conversations usually take several meetings and long discussions. A good conversationalist, above all, is a good listener. So he or she will wait and allow the other person to share some information, and then take that information and move the conversation forward. Perhaps ask some questions using the information that the person has told them. So now that you've heard about the 4 levels of communication, and you've heard how to have successful conversations, and one is Spivey and I are going to role play a scenario. And the scenario is we're strangers, we've never met each other before, and we're both attending a Toastmasters event. It might be a contest or perhaps training. And so as we are enacting this scenario, if you will look for some of the points that I've made during my talk today, and if there's time at the end, I'd like to open up the floor for Edwina and for you all to share with me some things that went well during the enactment or things that could be improved. So with what? But hello, my name is Janice. I don't believe that I know you.
How do you do, Janice? My name is Edwina.
Well, it's great to meet you. Great to meet you, Edwina. So how did you become interested in dogwood and Toastmasters and Toastmasters?
Well, many years ago, I was having speech therapy, and my speech therapist said that I should have several sessions with her, and then that I should go to Toastmasters. And so she knew Hal Platt, who is a member that many people know, and so he called me and invited me to come, and so I came to my first meeting about 25 years ago.
Wow, that is so interesting. Well, I became interested in Toastmasters because I had to give a presentation at a national conference, and I became so nervous during the conference that I couldn't even work the clicker for the PowerPoints, and that's how I came to Toastmasters. But so you mentioned Hal Platt. I think that I know Hal Platt. What club are you a member of?
I'm a member of Dogwood Toastmasters.
Of Dogwood. Oh yes, Hal. I don't know much about Hal, but I know that I've seen him at a few of our meetings. How well do you know him?
Well, I got to know him really well in those early meetings. He was very helpful to me when I was extremely nervous. I was more nervous than you were, I'm sure.
Well, it's always good to have someone to help us through that period of time, yes.
Right.
Well, so, and where are you in your Toastmasters journey?
Well, after 25 years, I've had plenty of time to do lots of things, so I am the highest level of distinguished Toastmaster.
Oh my goodness, I am so impressed. Wow. I bet that you know someone else that I've run across, Unwisha Banerjee. She's working on her Distinguished Toastmasters, and she's very active in our division. Do you know her?
Oh, yes, she's a member of our club.
Oh, she is such a go-getter, very energetic. I really do admire her.
Yes. I was so amazed at how many new clubs she started, because I've never started a new club. It seems really scary and thought of starting a brand new club, but she just starts them all the time.
I know, she's like a tornado, buzzing all around. Well, I see at one of it's time for us to go back to our sessions, so it's been great to talk with you.
It's been so great talking with you.
Yeah, bye. Well, I think I have plenty of time on the clock. I don't even see that the green light has come on yet. So what I'll do next then is I'll open up the floor for you all to give some feedback on that conversation, that scenario, and how it related to the information that I gave at the beginning. So, Edwin, I don't know. I'll start with you. I don't know if you have anything that you want to share. If you don't, that's fine.
Well, one thing I want to share is that we did not practice this. I did not have to do a thing except read the project to know what we were going to do, but that was completely unplanned.
Anyone else? Feedback?
I found this to be most educational and instructive and insightful. And now I know why I piss off so many people. Because I just go straight to number 4. I meet him on the elevator. I'm right at number 4. Okay? Kill all the politicians, the daddies and the mamas and everybody else. But on a serious note, it was fantastic. Thank you.
Well, you're welcome, Carmen. Thank you. My niece said the same thing whenever I was practicing this with her. She says, I go straight to number 4.
I thought that you demonstrated demonstrated something that I really didn't realize was very important. I now do, but you demonstrated it very well, that you want to plan how you will end the conversation. So oftentimes I find that I'm exchanging conversation or going back and forth with somebody, and then all of a sudden I realize I need to go. Time is of the essence here, and I don't know how to just in a pleasant way end the conversation, and you demonstrated it very nicely.
Yeah, that is awkward sometimes. John?
Could you say again what step 2 was?
Step 2 is fact disclosure, and that's when you talk about, like where you work, where you go to school, perhaps what one of your hobbies are.
So was your conversation, it appeared to me to be 1 and 2, is that correct?
I think we may have got to number 3 with and we should. That's when I tried and whenever and when I talked about how I think number 3 is viewpoints and opinions whenever you feel comfortable enough to share your feelings about an acquaintance. So we did get to level 3. Okay.
Yes, my son used to play online, and you have a persona, and I don't even know the games, but you would play with someone else maybe out of the country, and you would eventually get to know these people. They'd be your partners. And my older son, who has a much higher emotional intelligence than the younger son, said, I get invitations to stay in Castle in France with this guy I met online playing a game. I mean, we end up having major relationships. He says, and Jonathan is so smart and so good at this, but he never does go beyond his online persona. And he says, what he doesn't know, one of the things he doesn't know is not only are you warm and friendly and you reveal something, but he never says goodbye to the person. He just, the end of the game, that's it. He says that I always say, well, John, you know, that love playing with you. I hope I'll see you, you know, we'll talk again. It's so great that you told me this about your dog. He says it makes all the difference the way you end, as Yolanda was saying. And I met somebody new yesterday on a trip to, I had to have lunch with this woman who was alone on our tour in a booth. And we went straight to number 4. Because I'm like you. But when I left, she maybe is going to move out of Atlanta. I did say to her, I so much appreciated that, and I hope if you move to Columbia that you will keep in touch, and I wish the very best for you. And so I remember my son's advice.
Well, thank you, Kate, for that. So I see that the yellow light is on, so I'm going to wrap it up. I do appreciate all of your participation and your feedback, and a special thanks to